What's up, guys? It's me, Amy, back with another chat. Guys, today's Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to any mothers out there, any dog moms, cat moms out there. Happy Mother's Day, you guys. I just got done at service. It was a great service, but I feel like it was very directed to people who have moms and who are moms. And of course, I understand that that's what this holiday is for, honoring moms. Not that we shouldn't be honoring our moms every day of the year, but as I was sitting there, it's hard not to think, what about the people who don't have a mom? What about the people who lost their mom? What about the people who are distant from their parents, who can't be with their parents? The parents are far away. Maybe they don't even speak to each other. Maybe they've never gone along. Maybe their parent has never been able to show up for them and their whole entire life has never been around for them, has chosen men or drugs or any other thing over their child. And what about the women out there who want to be a mom more than anything else and can't? Whether it's, health complications, whatever it may be. I feel like holidays like this bring up a lot of hurt. I know it's meant to be a good thing. I know it's meant to praise the moms and just be so happy and bubbly and giggly, but that's not the case for everybody. A lot of times this holiday brings up sadness, it brings up bad memories, it brings up thoughts inside your heart that things just aren't how you wish they were on this holiday. Holidays can be hard in general, and that's why I want to get on here and share with you guys, this is a hard holiday for me. And I'm not here for sympathy, but I just want to share my story in hopes that it can help someone who's also feeling alone and also feeling down and seeing everyone maybe go to the service with their moms, with their kids, out restaurants, moms and kids. It's just a reminder of what we don't have, what we've lost, what we would like to have, but we can't. So this holiday is actually bittersweet for me. So Mother's Day weekend marks my third year living in the Bay Area, the place that I begged and begged and begged God to let me live, and I am very grateful to live here now. So 3 years ago, it was Mother's Day weekend. I was living back home, and my dad had messaged me, he's like, hey, it's Mother's Day, your stepmom would love to see you. She would love to have you come down for the weekend. And I was kind of hesitant about it. I was like, oh, I don't know. He's like, we would really love to have you. I don't want you up there alone. And I was like, okay, well, let me see if I can get my dog sitter. I couldn't travel with my dog at the time. She was older, 10 and a half, had really bad torn ACLs, couldn't be in the car for long periods because it would really make her ACL act up. She's an old lady. She needed to be at the house, relaxing. So I called my dog sitter up and saw to see if she was available last minute, and she said yes. I headed out that day. It was a Friday. Drove the 5 hours to go down to the city and to meet up with my family. We were having a lovely day together, and my sibling came over too. We did some celebration with the family. It was really nice. And then to top off the evening, we were all just sitting around on the couch watching a movie, enjoying each other's company, laughing, and just having a good time. And I was really happy to not be at home and not be lonely on the holiday. And then I get a call from my dog sitter, and I was like, uh-oh. So I answered the phone, and she told me that my dog had passed. Like, she came in for her first check-in of the evening, and my dog had just passed. She was older, but she seemed fine that morning. She was a little slow-ish, but I assumed that because it was a cloudy day, her arthritis was acting up. I assumed it was something along those lines. I gave her a little bit of pumpkin just in case her tummy was upset. And, other than that, I thought everything was going to be totally fine. So I get that call that my dog had passed, and I couldn't even finish the phone call. Thankfully, my little sibling was there, and I thank them so much because I gave them the phone, had them talk to her. We had to call, the vet. Thankfully, they had emergency service because this was an evening check-in. Thankfully, they had emergency after hours, and, to have her brought there, get her cremated, etc. Thankfully, my dog sitter took care of all of that for me because I would not have been able to do that. I am not good with death, and my dog was everything to me. Literally, I'm one of those people who their dogs are their kids. I don't have any kids yet, so I just love my dog like I birthed her myself. And it broke my heart that this had happened, and I was just so glad that I was with family, because if I had been home with her, I don't think I would have been able to deal with that, watch her passing, and just, I don't think I could have done it, honestly. Like, I was at such a bad mental state in my life. I was already struggling with being alive, and my dog was honestly the only thing that was keeping me here on this earth. Because if I had passed, there was nobody to take care of her. They weren't taking care of her right, and I just had to live for her, essentially. So this was devastating. You know, I was crying. My sibling took the phone, and my dad didn't know what to do, you know, because he doesn't know. So I just told my dad, I said, just hold me. Like, I just needed to be held. And after all that ordeal, the vet and all that stuff, I told my sibling, I said, if I go home, I'm going to unalive myself. I literally could not go home and live back where I was living before and deal with that, because I was at, like I said, I was at such a bad mental place where I just had to run away from everything that was bad in my life, everything that was stressful. I could not mentally deal with it on my own. And I told my dad, I said, Dad, please don't let me go back home. Please, like, I can't live there anymore. He said, honey, that's fine. You can come live with us. And I made 2 more trips back home after that, both to grab my stuff, one to grab her ashes as well. I took 2 car loads. Mind you, I have a 4-door Honda. I took 2 car loads of stuff and moved to the Bay Area. Everything else I left in my house. I left in my apartment. Honestly, I couldn't bear it. I didn't know what to do. I apologized profusely to my landlord. Like, that house was literally fully furnished. Like, they could rent it out fully furnished. My bed was still there, made with sheets and everything. TV still mounted on the walls, dishes, every single thing, you name it. Literally, I only took 2 carfuls of things, like, and just left everything else. And it was hard leaving all my stuff that I had worked hard for, but at the end of the day, I didn't want to deal with it. It was too much for me, and I felt like I had to deal with this all on my own and process everything on my own. Like, I don't have a partner, you know, I had to deal with it. So, long story short, Mother's Day weekend is when I began living in the Bay Area. As I said, I was crashing on my dad's floor of his living room for a couple months until I got my own place. And so, yeah, I got the thing that I had prayed for. The thing that I was, you know, really new age at the time. So I was manifesting, actually. I was manifesting to be able to live in the Bay Area. So yes, my manifestation came true, but at what cost? Because I lost my little baby, my princess. So Mother's Day is a reminder of the passing, you know, my puppy's, like, anniversary and my heavenly birthday, or whatever you guys want to call it. I don't even like calling that. It's her passing anniversary. I don't even like thinking about it. But it's also the 3rd year anniversary that I've been living here, so kudos to me, I guess. But even prior to all of that, Mother's Day has been hard for me. In 2016, my mom had a pulmonary embolism. They had found polyps in her uterus, so she went into the hospital to have her uterus removed. I can't think of the word for some reason right now, but she went in for that surgery, total routine surgery. People have it all the time, very common, very few complications ever arising from such surgery. And she goes in for the surgery. The hospital left my mom in the bed for 3 days straight. Like, they were taking care of her, obviously, but they didn't get her up. And a lot of times what can happen is after you have a surgery, if you don't get up and move around, at least put pressure on your legs, is you'll form a blood clot in your legs. So what happened is after 3 days, they finally got my mom up. She put her foot on the ground, instantly pulmonary embolism, the blood clot breaks off in the leg, travels up to the lung. She coded. She instantly passed right then and there. And they resuscitated her, and she was completely bedridden. Couldn't speak. Her body paralyzed except for this little movement that she could do. Everything else, can't speak, can't move, completely bedridden. And I had visited my mom that morning before I went to work, because I work kind of close to the hospital, and I had visited her that morning, and she seemed a little off. You know, I came in and she was laying in the bed, you know, she was sleeping. And so I was going to write her a little note like, hey mom, I just stopped by, I love you, I'll see you after work or on my lunch or something like that. Thankfully she woke up before I was about to head out the room. Thankfully she woke up. I'm so glad she woke up. I'm so glad I was able to talk to her before this happened and to hear her voice, because I didn't know I was never going to be able to hear her voice again. I didn't think this was anything serious, you know, just routine. But she seemed off that morning. And I just assumed she was tired, but something seemed weird. It didn't seem like my mom, like even throughout this whole like procedure, surgery, everything, she had seemed very cheerful, upbeat. That's just my mom. But this morning she was like off. So I go to work, literally 30 minutes into work. I'm working at Subway making sandwiches. It's lunchtime and it's very busy. 30 minutes in, I get a call on my phone. Like, I think I heard it and I went back and checked it real quick in between like customers somehow. And the doctor had called me, and I keep learning that anytime the doctor himself or herself actually calls you, it's not good. And he's like, you need to get to the hospital right now. Your mom coded. She's on intubation. We need you over here right now. So essentially they put her into a medically induced coma and like put the tube down her throat so she can breathe with that. And it was really hard to see my mom like that. Thankfully, I did have a boyfriend at that time, and I called him. I was crying and sobbing. He's like, okay, like, you're fine. But he didn't go with me. I don't know. He wasn't the best boyfriend. My whole life, I've always really felt so alone just in everything. And this was definitely one of those times. So I go over to the hospital and I see my mom and I'm just crying, and, she's in a coma. The nurse like felt really sorry for me and is just like rubbing my shoulder and hugging me. And that was hard because I didn't have anyone there with me except for a nurse hugging my shoulder. So I go into the waiting room because they had me wait there for a while, and it's so cold in there. They give me blankets, but I'm just shivering because I'm full of adrenaline and anxiety and worry. And mind you, like, this is my only parent, my only parent. Me and my mom were like this growing up, but I was the only child. It was just me and her. So I'm sitting in the waiting room and I'm like, I can't do this alone. So I look over and there's a phone book, like old school days when there was a phone book. And I look through the phone book and I look up my aunt's number. By the grace of God, our Father, her number was actually in the phone book. Go figure. Like, nowadays you would never found that. And I called her. She's like, hello. I was like, hi, is this Bonnie? Like, I was like, it's Amy. I was so surprised. She's like, Amy, honey, what's going on? And she's like, I told her, and she's like, I'll be there in an hour, because she lived far away. And she came up there. Thank God for her. Like, I couldn't have done this alone. Like, it was so scary. And like I said, I'm only 24-ish years old. Like, I was too young to have no parent at all. And to lose a parent, like, it's scary at that age. You don't know. So she came over, and like the next few months, her and my other aunt were really there for me. My other aunt came up from Fresno, and they really helped me with it. We took turns in the hospital waiting to see what was going to happen to my mom. Eventually, they flew her out to a bigger city where they could do more treatment on her. And like I said, she was, able to breathe on her own just with like the little oxygen mask and things like that. But she was never the same. As I mentioned, she couldn't speak, couldn't move, completely paralyzed except for her hands like this. It's not a life. It's so hard seeing my mom literally a vegetable. But she's awake and she knows what's going on. And every time I would see her, all she would do was cry. So they would just adjust her medicine more and more, so she wasn't constantly crying. The nurses would call me and tell me that my mom is always crying. Yeah, do you blame her? I would rather have passed. I would rather have passed away than live a life like that, of a vegetable, staring at the ceiling all day long. Can't communicate, can't tell them what you need, can't use the bathroom on your own. So that was really tough. And Mother's Day has been tough ever since then. I'll tell you guys the story later on, but that's why I decided to find my dad, since I didn't have a mom. I think I'll save that for a Father's Day video. So yeah, she was 3 hours away from me, so it made it hard to go visit. I was in college at the time, working full time. I kept going to school anyways, kept my grades up, and eventually they moved her out to Sacramento, which was even further from me. So I rarely ever got to see her, and I got to a point where I couldn't even stomach seeing her. Like, it was just so hard for me. Like I said, I spent a lot of time running away from things that made me uncomfortable, things that scared me, until I got into therapy 2.5 years ago, and my therapist strongly advised that I start going and visiting my mom as part of my healing journey. And thank God for my therapist. She really was God sent. I started visiting my mom, and I could only handle going in there for like 2 minutes at a time. I would drive like from the Bay Area to Sacramento, like 5 hours, round trip, to go see her for like 2 minutes. and leave because I just couldn't stand seeing her in there. I was like, that's not my mom. Like, it seemed like a monster. Like, it was so sad. It was so triggering for me and hard, but I just kept going more and more. And I'm really glad that I did. I got to show her pictures of me traveling. I got to tell her I moved to the Bay Area. I even told her I found my dad. It was hard for me. I had to take some time to tell her, but I was able to start visiting her again, and it was really good for my mental health. I would go there and I would just read her. My mom was Jehovah's Witness. I grew up Jehovah's Witness, so I would just read her The Watchtower, which is their like booklet or whatever, and I would just do that because she couldn't talk. So it's like, how do you even have a conversation? And it's hard. I couldn't even touch my mom. I couldn't even hug my mom. It just felt scary. Almost, I don't even know how to explain it. And for years, it was so hard for me to talk about. I would pretend like my mom was deceased. Like, I would talk about her as if she had already passed in the past tense. And I would bring her up or anything like that. I just couldn't talk about it. Like, it was just so like too much for me. There was so much going on. I was still in this bad place and so depressed. It's just too much for me. Thankfully, through therapy, I healed that, and now I could talk about this story. Like, I can literally tell the story now, like, without like going crazy or crying or pretending it's not real. And then my mom passed 2023 Christmas Day, a few days after her birthday, and I felt a lot of guilt because I hadn't gone and seen her on her birthday, December 21st. I just didn't make it up there. I was having a hard time going and visiting her again. It was just getting hard on my mental health again, but she passed on Christmas. Going out with a bang. That's how us girls do. And I thank God every day that he sent me my therapist to get me out of my comfort zone and to go visit my mom and tell her the things I wanted to tell her. It's just so hard for me because Mother's Day has not been good for quite some time. And now my mom is really, really gone. And it makes you look back on all the things, like when my mom told me that they had found like cancerous polyps in her uterus, I wish that I would have known to be there for her more. Like, I didn't even realize it at the time, like what a scary situation that probably was for her. She never showed it. She never expressed emotions, which was hard for me to see. But I'm not thinking about it now, like she must have been so terrified. And I wish that I could just have shown up for her and been there and talked to her and told her I loved her. And I wish that I could have talked to her more and found out more about our family. And just, there's so much more I wish I could have done. And you're always going to wish these things. I also wish that I would have sued the hospital. You only get 1 year for a med mal, and I was not in my right mind in that year to be able to decide that. But you know, like, I wish I would have sued them. Like, you need to take care of people, like not just my mom, but everyone else that's in there is under your care. And now she's a vegetable. We got my mom a DNR after that, do not resuscitate, because God forbid they resuscitate her again and it's even worse. You know, you're already a vegetable. Let the poor woman pass in peace. So now she's in heaven with our Father, Heavenly Father. And I don't know, I miss her. I miss my mom. And I'm sad that she's never gonna see me like have kids or get married. But she did get to see me graduate college, graduate high school, travel the world, move to the place that I dreamt of living. And she got to see me grow up and just, I don't know, it's fine. It's okay. It is what it is. What can you do? You know? So now I am going to be excited when I am finally a mom. When I am finally a mom, and that this holiday can have a lot of good meaning to me again, you know? So I'm looking forward to that. But I share this story for anybody going through similar times. I feel like a lot of people forget about people suffering or struggling today. And I get it, you know? And trust me, you're not alone. There's so many people out here having a hard time today too. And you're not forgotten. You're not alone, you know? I did read something where someone was like, even though you're struggling on a holiday, go make it like a great day. Like, if you're alone, go treat yourself. Go have like the best day ever. Instead of focusing on the bad things of the holiday, make it a good thing. So if you're missing someone today, or if you're having a hard time becoming a mom yourself or anything, just know that it's okay. And even if you can't focus on any good today, I wanted to remind you that the day is almost over. And I know that feeling. And Tomorrow will be a whole lot better. Pain doesn't go away, but it just becomes more manageable. I love you.